I don't know what happened. I was supposed to take her to the Fireflies and walk away.
I won't let you take her. This is our future. Think of all the lives we'll save.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up.
Jesus Christ, Joel. What do you do?
I saved her.
The Last of Us Part 2 is a character-driven, alternating perspective, non-linear narrative game created by Neil Druckmann and developed by Naughty Dog in 2020. It follows the story of two female protagonists, Ellie Williams and Abby Anderson, whose lives intertwine as they battle within the cycle of violence. The Last of Us Part 2 is a bombshell of emotional complexity and contains many moral decisions that the player must grapple with throughout the entirety of the game. This is one of the many reasons I chose to analyze this game, as it contains bold and often questionable narrative choices. So questionable, in fact, that it coated the game in controversy when it first was released.
The hatred, I think, that was behind it. I was sad. Yeah, they were like threatening my son, who was born during all of it, and yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Over the course of this class, we have discussed many of the elements we see in The Last of Us Part 2, like player agency, interactivity, and how digital storytelling can work hand in hand with both the designer and the player to create a lasting experience. Throughout this analysis, I want to place focus upon the game's lack of traditional pre-established structure, and how its use of character design allows the player to form emotional connections with the game and its story by use of in-game dialogue, cutscenes, and upgradable skill trees. The Last of Us Part 2 is a third-person survival horror action-adventure game. It follows a non-linear, day-by-day campaign that is split up into chapters, which contains multiple stages. Unlike a traditional 3-act model, The Last of Us Part 2 is a flashback-heavy, fragmented arc, which some players say contains pacing issues that deprives the game from its meaningful conflict. I, however, disagree. I believe the use of the non-conventional story structure allows the game to make bold choices that brings forth important moral questions for the player to think about. Throughout the game, the two protagonists, Ellie and Abby, are faced with a series of meaningful choices. Even though you as the player cannot technically affect the story due to the String of Pearls gameplay model, you still have the ability to have varying amounts of freedom throughout several points within the game. You can upgrade skill trees, rummage for supplies, solve puzzles, complete combat sequences, explore the maps. In The Last of Us Part 2, there is only one ending, as heartbreaking as that may be. But by allowing the player to have some agency within the game in between cutscenes, aids in the illusion of having control over the plot. The player plays the game in third person, meaning you can see the character and their surroundings as they traverse through the post-apocalyptic environment. As you move forward within the story, you encounter cordyceps-infected enemies as well as human enemies that you can defeat with different playstyles depending on the player's agency. You can choose to approach the combat with either stealth or aggressiveness. When playing in stealth, the developers added a new position unique to the second game of becoming prone, so that you can better hide from enemies to take them down from a stealthy perspective. This playstyle is super fun and challenging, because you can use weapons like a silenced pistol or bow and arrow to one by one take down enemies or other infected. The aggressive playstyle has its positives too. You can use runners or other human enemies as human shields, hold them as hostages to get guaranteed headshots, or just straight up gun down everyone in sight. As you progress through the game, you are presented with a skill tree and weapon upgrades for both Ellie and Abby. They both have specialized weapons and skills that can get upgraded by finding training manuals. These manuals can unlock things like explosive arrows, faster stealth kills, longer-lasting silencers, pipe bombs, and many others. These can be upgraded using pills and scrap metal that you pick up around the interactive elements of the levels. You can also find blades, alcohol, cloth, etc. to craft items such as health kits, Molotov cocktails, arrows. You can even make your melee weapons more durable. You can also collect artifacts throughout the game that pertain to each of the characters' stories. Ellie collects superhero trading cards and Abby collects coins. If you find all of these, you get a trophy. You can also find letters from other survivors or previously alive survivors that all tell a story within themselves. It's pretty cool. Once you complete the main story, the player is able to unlock pre-established mods through the option menu. These can make for pretty fun gameplay, as you can toggle on unlimited ammo, unlimited crafting, and several others. By finishing the game, you also unlock the permadeath option, where you can play the game with only one life. If you die, you die. When the remastered version of the game came out in 2025, the developers added more mods for Ellie and Abby, where you can unlock new outfits for them to wear throughout the game as well. My personal favorite is Astronaut Ellie, obviously. The Last of Us Part 2 is about the cycle of violence and contains themes of revenge and retribution. It uses the String of Pearls model to intertwine interactive gameplay with cutscenes to move the story forward. The game begins with a series of cutscenes that takes place immediately after the events of the first game and in present time. In this chapter, you meet new characters, establish the setting, and the player is briefed of the controls and gets to experience light combat. Then, by using cutscenes, the game switches characters. You are introduced to someone we've never met before. We discover her name is Abby, and that she's traveling with a group of friends to look for someone. After some minor combat and interactivity, she is dropped into the lap of Joel, exactly who she's looking for.
Ain't making it all that
My friends are at a mansion just north of here. It's fenced in. We have the whole perimeter secure.
Subaltern.
She is then able to lure him back to her hideout and kill him in front of Ellie. Here is where the main narrative of the game solidifies. By using cutscenes, we witness Joel's death at the hands of a character the audience has no emotional connection to. This prompts the player to feel anger and hatred, exactly what the developers wanted. They want you, as the player, to want to find and stop at nothing to kill Abby while you play as Ellie. Here the game begins to use the non-linear day-by-day structure. Each chapter is titled Day 1, Day 2, Day 3, and includes a playable flashback that provides the player with backstory as to why our two main protagonists are doing what they're doing. You continue along the day-by-day structure until you reach the end of Day 3. Here, Abby has somehow caught up to you, and right before what seems to be the climax of the story,
I know why you killed Joel. He did what he did to save me. There is no cure because of me. I am the one that you want. Just let him go.
the narrative switches. You begin back on Seattle Day 1, but from Abby's perspective. This is what caused insane controversy when the game was first released. The majority of the game's audience did not like that you had no say in playing Joel's killer. But I believe Naughty Dog made a meaningful choice, even if the player doesn't have control over it. They are testing your limits of forgiveness as a player. Are you able, as a player, to break that cycle? Since the game starts back over on Seattle Day 1, Abby's version, you again go through the day-by-day structure and experience backstory flashbacks just like in Ellie's portion. The Stringer Pro model is still present as you experience opportunities for player agency and interactivity while cutscenes provide you with all the story elements. As you play as Abby's character, you start to realize she's not much different from Ellie herself. She's grieving the loss of her father and struggling with internal moral conflicts while also battling against this guy. And this guy. I won't spoil the whole story, but I believe this non-linear structure of switching between Ellie and Abby puts a lot of things into perspective, while also forcing the player to confront their own discomfort and push their feelings aside.
They're both this way.
The interactivity and the way the story is centered around the thematic cutscenes allows us as the player to form an emotional connection with the characters. I know personally, by the end of the game, I loved Abby just as much as I did Ellie. They're both hurting for the same reason, but they're unable to break that cycle.
I have to finish it.
Playing The Last of Us Part 2 was a life-changing experience. The gameplay feels smooth, mechanically pleasing, and overall addicting. The story does a great job at allowing you to understand what to do from chapter to chapter, and the characters are so dynamic that you want to help them along in their journeys. It's very easy to grow attached to them and their lives. Although you don't have control over the story narrative-wise, being able to have so much freedom in combat, and in the interactive elements as well, makes up for it. Overall, I thoroughly enjoy this game. The characters in the story mean so much to me. I can really relate to Ellie and Abby and their reasoning behind why they do what they do, Even though the story has a pretty sad ending, it's hopeful to know that in the end, they both were able to break that cycle of violence and move forward onto a more fulfilling path.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I'd like that.